I believe Thomas Jefferson was the one who said that the harder I work, the luckier people say I am. It's hard work and preparation.
Business lessons.
You know, you got to think about the right help backstage with your stage managers, your director. You got to think about the marketing, which is a monster. You know, marketing, the production is the biggest monster. You know, your website you got to maintain, your email list, just everything that goes into filling those seats.
Marketing is the most important thing. You know, it's the biggest part of the budget. It's continual. You can't take your eye off of it. You know, you just have to be diligent about it. And I guess within that is what I've learned is it all still goes back to grassroots. It's just, I mean, we don't have money to put up a billboard in Times Square or whatever. And maybe if you're a business and you do, you can just do that, but I'm not even sure. I mean, I think it just all goes back to reaching people directly on the phone, like calling principals on the phone or calling colleges. You can't just, you know, throw something out there and hope that it comes back. It doesn't. It's diligence, diligence, diligence.
I believe Thomas Jefferson was the one who said that the harder I work, the luckier people say I am. You know, and it's hard work and preparation.
People say, well, how did you do it? And it's like, well, first of all, we didn't quit our day jobs, you know, like we worked at both for a couple of years. And I don't know how we did that, but we did. And it was only until the business seemed like it was really, really viable and there was no other way that we could do both that we then just did the business.
You know, people have asked me, you know, well, how can I do what you do? And I tell them all that goes into it. And they're like, I don't want to work that hard. And I'm like, I don't know any other way to do it. You know, it's hard work. You know, it's hard work and planning.
You know, it's theater, but at the end of the day, it's a business, at least from the production end and what I have to do to keep it going and to be successful. You know, I mean, my typical day is spent with creating budget models, you know, and so all this things I learned on Excel from Citibank, I take them and I use the same models here. So, you know, it's that kind of financial stuff. It's keeping up with the accounting, and so, you know, the accounting classes I took, I was an econ major, so all that kind of thing. Negotiating contracts and knowing what I'm reading when I'm reading, you know, the lease agreement for the theater, or negotiating with a college, because 200 colleges, 200 contracts, you know, what do they want? What are they really asking? How can I, you know, negotiate what they're asking for? So all of those things that I learned both in school and at Citibank, I think are invaluable.
And you have to be prepared to do everything yourself. Even when you hire someone, you've got to be prepared to know what's going on. And one day when we first started, we had shows on Fridays at 8 and on Saturdays at 7. And one of the actors got confused and thought that the show on Saturday was at 8. And we're like, 7:15, this guy isn't here yet. The audience is grumbling, you know, when we're going to start. So I just had to go on stage. You know, had I known about it before, I would have been too scared to do it. But in that moment, I just had to do it, you know. And what was funny was, since I jumped right in, I forgot to take off my ring. So I'm doing the show and I got my ring on until intermission when I remember. And there's a scene when the two characters are supposed to kiss, and I go in to kiss, and we stopped awkwardly because I'm like, is Jamillah, my wife, is Jamillah in the audience? Yeah, so you got to be prepared to do everything. You know, we used to, I mean, now we're in a bigger theater, but when we first started, we were in a small 70-seat theater. We had to clean it every night. You know, we had to take care of the bathroom. I mean, we had to do everything, and that's what it took.
Responsibility, that's one of the values that we try to get the actors and ourselves to live by, is that you have to take responsibility. And it's weird because, you know, even like say an actor is late. I had nothing to do with it, but I have to say, how am I causing the matter? And maybe I didn't, maybe I need to send reminders the night before, which is actually now what we do. You know, even though we send the schedule at the beginning of the month, every week we send the weekly schedule, even though people should have in their schedule. It doesn't matter. How are you causing the matter? So that's a principle that we try to live by, is to be responsible. And our whole thing is low cost, because there's no other way it could work. And the play is a new model for doing theater, and now theater people ask us to come and talk about how we did it, and it's really, we work all the time and we don't have a lot of expenses, you know, but it's a different model.
In terms of running a theater company, you know, selecting the theater space that's appropriate, that you can afford, that fits enough people, that meets the budget, and that suits the play. You know, because there are plays that have failed just because they were in too big a space. Not that there was no audience, but the space was just too big to support that play. So you've got to think about that. You got to think about the actors, and it's not just a matter of skill, but attitude, you know. Because there's a lot of talented people, but whose attitude gets in the way. And one of the things that we're lacking on, that we need to improve on, is just finding the proper help.